October 9th meeting of the Durham Planning Board shall come to order. We'll start with a roll call. Tom?
Tom DiCapo.
Heather Grant.
M. Friedrichs.
Sally Tobias.
Paul Rasmussen?
Michael Barron, Town Planner. Richard Kelly, I think, will be late. And Rob Sullivan, I don't know if he's on Zoom. He probably can't make it, but he may be able to join on Zoom.
And Peyton McManus.
Erica Namagaya.
Do we have anyone on Zoom?
Yes, we have Eric.
Okay. Applicant not, or public. Okay. Very good.
Yeah, it's public.
Let's see, so. Let me get my. So we have Rob. So Tom, you're going to be, oh, well, wait, 1, 2, we still have an open seat, right?
Yes.
Yes. Tom, you're sitting in the.
I feel like that should come with a special hat or something, like a clue game, you know? You should get an item of clothing to designate.
Maybe a flag.
Well, maybe. We can talk about that during our workshop. Approval of the agenda. I think the agenda looks pretty full tonight. Anybody have anything they need to add or adjust? Move we accept the agenda.
So moved.
So moved and seconded by Peyton. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Town planners report.
So the next meeting in 2 weeks is the annual Planning Board workshop, where the board does not review applications. We have at least 2 items on the agenda. A first look, starting to look at the proposed planned unit development ordinance, and I will have a draft of for the definitions incorporating the planning board's final comments. Holiday, we got a few things tentatively for the agenda then, and then we have only 1 meeting in December, also because of the holiday. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Michael? All right, reports from board members who serve on other committees. We'll start with town council.
Oh gosh, can we come back to these, go and pull up my notes?
Come back to council?
Yes.
All right. We'll move on to IMAC then. We had, IMAC committee met. This is, I guess it's the composting thing has started. It's about to kick off. No, I guess it kicks off next week, this week. I don't remember now. And we're really looking at, they're looking at a variety of other things. Best thing to do is just keep an eye on the Friday updates and the Did You Knows. I think this upcoming one is going to have to do with detergents. Any other committees? No other committees met. Town council?
Okay, so from this latest meeting, so I was just trying to remember if we had any CIP items kind of coming through. We mainly had a presentation on the changes from Public Works and IMAC on what will change with our solid waste ordinances. And so there were a number of language changes that will enable this eventual transition to a 2-bin system where we will have, the town will provide everyone with a trash bin and also a recycling bin. And it will be mixed single stream recycling. And so that was a large presentation from the Department of Public Works. We also had the Superintendent, Dr. Shap, come in and tell us a little bit about how the opening of transportation improvement fee for net zero transportation initiatives, and we tabled that for future discussion. So that there's currently, when you go to register your car, you pay an additional fee on top of the state's fee of $5, which goes towards Durham's road infrastructure. And this was a proposal that came up through the Energy Committee to dedicate those $5 to net zero transportation. So that could be pedestrian infrastructure, bicycling infrastructure, or EV infrastructure. And the town council will revisit that potentially in the budget discussions. And then, is there anything else? We will hear more in terms of the town council goals progress report. We decided to set that aside as a separate agenda item, so we should hear more about that in the future. And we approved purchasing new parking kiosks. So the first half of those parking kiosks were replaced last year, and the next half of our parking kiosks will be replaced next year. And I think that's everything that might be kind of relevant to the planning board. Did I forget anything?
I think so.
Okay.
Pretty thorough.
May I task you two with something to bring back to the town council?
Yeah.
So the state's come out with this housing champion thing. Before I address it with the planning board, because half of the points that you can get come from zoning, I'd like to confirm from the town council that they would be in support of becoming a housing champion in the state.
All right.
The reason I'm asking is because Laconia just said no. You know, their town council said, we don't like the looks of it and we don't want to do it. So I would like our town council, I don't want to go down a road and then find out they don't want us going that way.
Gotcha. Do you have, is there like a document already prepared, like a summary that could be shared with the town council so that they could look at that and have, because I
Yes.
imagine there'd be a lot of questions about what that entails.
Yeah,
Do you
I'll
have
send
that?
it to you. Yeah,
'Cause
I'll
I-
send it to the board and
Okay.
to you, yeah.
I remember reading the whole thing, going through the points. It came into our email. I just don't remember what direction it came from. But it's there. Become a champion. Short summary is you got to score 80 points. Half of those points can be from your zoning. A lot of the rest of them come from other areas of the town. Public works, infrastructure, stuff like that. So it's got to be everybody pulling together to be able to actually make that happen.
This is, you can find this online with the, with the Housing Champion Program. Is it the New Hampshire Housing Champion Program? Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, you can Google it.
I learned the hard way on Monday that town council likes to have everything laid out in front of them. And sometimes if it's a link, that's not enough. They want a
Oh.
written summary.
You
So,
can, you
Well,
can, you can
you
start
can-
there.
Yeah, it's a, I want to say a 12-page. It was Al Howland who sent it. Al Howland
Yeah.
sent it in an email. I'll find that and send it to you.
Okay, I'm seeing 45 pages, but there's also a bunch of like definitions. You have to go to page, like a few
Yeah.
pages down. But I was a bit confused about that because the points system, like the different categories, adoption of financial tools that incentivize the building of workforce housing. So there's a couple of them that I'm a bit
We can talk
curious.
about that in more detail under other business, but I'd like to get, I wanted to get
Out of
this
them?
heading to town council, and then we can discuss it more after we get the rest of our agenda done.
Sounds good.
Okay? But I'm perfectly happy to speak with you even after the meeting and fill in stuff. Because I did a quick point count of where I think the town is. We're not all the way there yet. Okay. Public comments. So this would be for items not on the agenda. Is there any public comments for the
Oh.
town council? Yes.
I did come up, sorry, I remembered some more of the details of the Monday meeting. It's a little delayed here, forgive me. In the conversation with Dr. Shap, he talked a little bit about upcoming school infrastructure needs, and I think that's relevant to the workforce housing ordinance. And so they are beginning to think about what future school building needs may be, and are thinking sometime this year there will be some community conversations around that. Sometimes it's things like wanting more space in the cafeteria at one of the elementary schools, having a larger kindergarten class than expected, and the middle school projections are going down, but they are anticipating that the primary school projections will continue to go up. And so they'll be looking more at that in the future, but they are already thinking about where they would like some more space needs, having more space for a lot of the occupational therapy and other sorts of therapies that come in. And then looking at renewing the agreement with Barrington, which is only for the high school, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes.
And the notification, if either one wanted to adjust that. So there would be some flexibility built in, but with reasonable advance warning in terms of if school projection numbers were shifting, could Oyster River say, okay, we can't continue to accept Barrington students because of size restraints. So that's sort of the status of the school numbers and school infrastructure. Is that anything else from that conversation that?
No, it was really interesting though, because they did have all of the numbers broken out between the different the towns, and they even had the statistics on the what they have known as the homeschool kids, and because they do participate in some things that are related to the school depending on the student, and then the breakdown also of the Barrington population that's at the high school. So it was a lot of good information.
Good. If there's any public comments from Zoom? Any hands up?
No hands up right now.
All right, thank you. That'll bring us to item 8. This is going to be a public hearing for 280 Durham Point Road, two-lot subdivision. Subdivision of a 33.5 acre parcel into a 5-acre lot that containing the existing house and a 28.5 acre lot intended for acquisition by the Nature Conservancy. Dick and Kathleen Gottschneider of the Gottschneider Family Trust property owner, Ben Wallace, the Nature Conservancy applicant, Bradley Shelton, real estate agent, Adam Fogg, surveyor, map 227, lot 36. It's in the residence coastal and rural districts. It's one of those odd ones where the zone line goes through the property itself. Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Whatever.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're here this evening, Richard Gottschneider and his wife, Vivian Gottschneider, and also Ben Wallace with the Nature Conservancy. I'm usually not on this side of the table, but unfortunately Adam Fogg could not be here because of a death in the family, so I'm just kind of trying to step in for him. I just passed out the plan that you have in front of you. This is an updated plan from what was in the original application. It adds note number 6 on the plan to delineate the soils mapping for the 5-acre, for the homestead parcel, the 5-acre parcel, to ensure that it meets your minimum requirements for, I think it's considered buildable area. And this was brought to our attention by Michael when he did the original application review. And then the other notation or update to the plan has been the access for the 28, the larger acre parcel, 28 acre plus parcel, showing the existing gravel road. So, I'm sorry. I'm not sure how we want to proceed. Should I be going through the waiver requests first? There are a number of waiver requests, or can I answer questions about the plan?
It is, well, at this point, for this particular application, I think you've given us the details we need. We're going to have a brief opportunity for the board to ask you questions, and then we're going to open a public hearing.
Perfect.
Okay. Michael, I see you noted that you walked the roadway and determined that sight distance of the proposed driveway is adequate.
Right.
Right? And all the other notes and requirements that you had have been taken care of.
Right.
All right. Are there any open questions to the applicant at this point from the board members? Seeing none, let's open to, shall we open the public hearing?
Second?
I wasn't actually making a motion, I was
Oh.
asking a question.
So moved. Shall open the public hearing?
And it's seconded by Erica.
Erica.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Would anyone like to speak to this application? Are there any hands in Zoom?
No.
We'll give it just a little bit more time for someone to figure out where the buttons are. All right. Discussion among the board? I think this one's pretty straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward.
Actually, can I just ask one quick question? Reason, if you can, simply explain why it's being done in the form of a sale rather than an easement? Just out of curiosity.
As fee as opposed to the easement?
That's what the Nature Conservancy wanted to do. We offered it as an easement, and they said that they wanted to buy it. Well, it doesn't matter to us, we just want to protect it.
Did you want to speak to that, Ben?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to give you a sense. The Nature Conservancy is interested in, I think the way that our funding came together and is coming together, it was going to work better as a situation where the Nature Conservancy is able to acquire the parcel. There's always some challenge of acquiring a parcel that has a house on it. And then, because we're essentially interested in conserving the portion that doesn't have a house on it. And so it simplifies things for the stewardship team if we simply own the parcel that doesn't, and we're not like overseeing somebody's residence and then working with future landowners who then own that residence. So that makes sense?
Just for the record, you're Ben Wallace?
My name is Ben Wallace with the Nature Conservancy, sorry.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, just curious.
All right.
I just had one question, which I think has been very well answered by what was initially submitted in the application, but just, we feel very confident as a board, without having done a site map and without having a complete wetland survey and a complete soil survey, that the larger parcel as well, should it become a single-family home lot, would have enough buildable land.
Yes. Based on the wetland maps that were available to us from GIS, was it GIS that we were looking at?
Yeah.
There isn't that much wetland on the larger parcel. I mean, there are some patches of it, but there's plenty of it that is not.
Okay, that was my only question.
All right. All right, shall we close the public hearing then? All right.
So we're discussing right now?
We're discussing, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, if there's any more discussing, it's that or someone can take a crack at a motion.
So the gravel drive, so going, continuing with that conversation about a single-family house, even with the electric easement, can we review that just one more time? Because I remember seeing the email about it, but it's like when it comes to establishing a driveway in the future, if that's ever of interest for a single-family house, it could go through the easement or just
Yes.
for my knowledge? Okay.
Oh, and the word in that first note, conservation driveway access in the middle, says, and the driveway may be approved if desired. That should be improved. That's
I
a
was going to
typo.
ask that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I missed that one. Okay. Anything else, Erica?
Not on my end. Thank you.
All right. All right, then, I guess,
Can I ask a question?
yes.
Just, is that parcel, the entire parcel, is that currently enrolled in current use? Or is that enrolled in current use?
I believe that is.
Yes, the whole
Yeah.
parcel,
The whole
except
parcel.
for the 1 acre around the house is in current use.
Okay. And then, would that come out of current
Yes.
use as part of the sale?
Yeah.
Yeah, I met with the new assessor, I don't remember her name, but,
Darcy.
yeah, yes. The 5 acre, not in current use.
Okay.
That makes sense? So the 1 acre that's around the house now is not in current use, and then the other 4 acres will join that in effect, and we'll pay a tax on that.
Right. And then, but the remaining lot would not come out of current use?
It will remain in current use.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense. Thank you.
And I had one, I was just trying to remind myself, the flood hazard overlay district in Durham, we follow FEMA's maps, or do we have a slightly altered?
We
map?
follow FEMA's maps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we know when that FEMA maps will next be updated? Because I know they're working on an update currently, and some folks have started using kind of the draft version, I think.
Wow. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it probably will be pretty soon. The current ones are at least 10 years old, I believe.
And the big challenge is that they're based on climate data looking backwards as opposed to projected climate data looking forward. So I know with our stormwater regs, we're trying to use the projected climate data to give an understanding of what will be safe in 50 years, but we don't have the same matching information for flooding. Which is a challenge, but
Yeah.
this parcel looks fine.
I don't think it's gonna,
Yeah.
this floods. we're not gonna worry about it.
If this parcel floods, all of downtown Durham's going to
It's gonna
flood.
I was gonna say, I didn't want to bring that up at this point in time.
Yeah, it's gonna be really
Yeah.
Rough week to be thinking about that.
Yeah.
All right.
pretty,
We're on
it's
top of
pretty
the
far
hill and say,
back.
oh yeah, it would never flood on our hill property. You never know.
It's a
All
landmark
right.
piece anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I will move to accept the notice of decision, which includes several waivers for 280 Durham Point Road of a 2-lot subdivision. Dick and Kathleen Gottschneider of the Gottschneider Family Trust, property owners, Ben Wallace, the Nature Conservancy applicant, map 227, lot 36, as dated of October 9th, 2024. May I have a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. Last chance for discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 voting members right now, so that was a 6-0 vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
And congratulations.
Come on. we are. Item 9. 65 Durham Point Road, two-lot subdivision, adjustment of right-of-way line. Former owners of the subject lot made an agreement with the town of Durham in 1985 for the town to relocate a portion of Durham Point Road onto the subject lot in order to remove a tight bend in the road. The land underlying the newly located road was never conveyed to the town, nor was the right-of-way line moved. A new plat has been created to correct that omission. Sarah Ford Trust property owner, map 115, lot 6, Residence Coastal District. Mr. Barrett, I believe you are the representing the applicant for this one?
I am representing the applicant.
Do you want to take the table?
Well, I'm happy to do that if you'd like, but I wonder if maybe it would be better if Val, as the Realtor who has been involved with this from the start, might be a better person to give you the information, if that's all right.
It's all right with me.
Dan had, contacted me. And under my due diligence, before we started to market the property, I had discovered that there was an agreement back in the early 1980s where Sally's mother had made an agreement with the town to basically transfer property on Durham Point Road to the town so that the town could actually change the road layout to make the curve. It used to be a hairpin turn, like, for anyone who was growing up here would remember that. And so the town basically put in the new road as we have it today. And the agreement was that the town would do all the survey work associated with that and prepare the deed for Mrs. Payne, Sally's mother, Mrs. Payne, to sign that portion of the land over to the town. And it never happened. So working with Michael and the staff here at the town and Public Works, we were trying to find a deed or papers that maybe never got filed, and we couldn't. And we worked on that for a few months. So then the town retained the services of DCAT Survey to go out. We met with Public Works Director, was it Michael? I think myself, you, and the surveyors, and basically, kind of did a little site walk out on Durham Point Road and said, what land does the town need to be able to obviously own that section of the road or, fulfill that requirement under the agreement. And then whatever excess, right-of-way or roadway they needed. So that's kind of the background to this. It was something that should have been done in the 80s, and it just was, the road was done, and the driveway got changed to go down to the lots that are, down that shared driveway. But we really just kind of wanted to clean up this title so that, that's behind the Ford, family, that we can move forward and be able to sell the lot, which is, on the town records, as more simplified. There's already a right-of-way going through that lot down to the other houses. The idea that the road, that the property is dissected by Durham Point Road, not many people would want to be owning land like that. So that's kind of the background.
Is the town's fear here that the new owners would put up a toll spike?
Well, Dean actually came up with that idea when I brought it to him, as far as what the issue was.
Thing to do. Okay.
But you want to clean.
We're trying to clean up. It
Clean
never
deed
got
for-
done.
Yeah, it's just messy when you're selling.
Correct.
I
And
find one of the worst applicants to work with in this town is the town
is
itself.
the town.
Well, we're exempt from.
Fortunately, it doesn't have to be Dan Ford as the applicant.
Yeah. The rules don't apply to us.
Sometimes they do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, so is the application complete?
Yes, I'm the applicant, so I would
We should look at it more carefully then.
request that the board, I guess I'd request rather than recommend, request the board approve the waivers, accept it as complete, and schedule the hearing. But to be honest with you, yes, the application is complete.
So what waivers are you asking for?
The waivers are pretty extensive. It's really, let's see, I outlined that. So I think I included the checklist. The waivers are extensive, a couple of the general items, everything under plating, everything under topographic and site features, and everything under utilities. Since really the only thing that we needed was the survey line for the edge of the right-of-way that will be conveyed to the town.
And it's only going to be a road, not anything or other pedestrian type right-of-way in the future, nothing else, so.
Yeah, there's no physical changes planned at this point. Yeah.
Very good.
What does fee ownership mean? Is that?
No,
standing
thank you.
for-
Yeah, that means just owned outright as
Okay.
opposed to an easement.
Okay.
Yeah, like you have fee simple.
So like red polygon will remain fee ownership of abutters, so they own it, subject to public road, Durham Point Road.
Right. Something that some people may not know that is people assume that all roads that are town roads are actually owned by the town, but the vast majority of older roads, especially collector-type roads, arterial-type roads, they were never conveyed to the municipality. They just became a public way, and the community assumed maintenance of it, and the public has a right to use it, but it's still owned by the underlying landowners, usually to the center line. But any new road, like with a subdivision, all the local roads in town are all town roads because when they were subdivided, the developer actually prepares a deed of the road right away and conveys that to the town at no cost. But Durham Point Road is an older collector road. Almost certainly, we do not own it.
So I'm just, forgive me, because I'm trying to play catch up on all of these, but, so Durham, the current road follows the blue, right? That's the softer curve. The actual road follows the blue line?
Which,
The little itty bitty.
well, you can see the road bed, the roadway itself, where it has like shows a center line.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's the road, the asphalt itself.
Okay, and the lot in question is north of that, of the road?
Right.
So that what's south of the road would be conveyed to the town up to that property line, including but the purple area,
Let's see.
is subject to right-of-way because that's where on paper the road should have been?
Yeah, this is confusing, so you're not alone here in needing a little bit of time to grasp this. We don't know because the original survey, there's no old survey or correct plat of the subject lot, and so we don't know where the southwesterly boundary of that lot is. Nor even where the old right-of-way line was. So the only way we can do this is the town hired DCAT to survey that blue, what you see is that blue line, and we all agreed that was reasonable following the current roadway itself with an appropriate setback for the right-of-way line. So that line is surveyed, but we don't have any specific lines below that. So the deed from the Ford is going to say to the effect of all of the land owned by the Ford family from this surveyed line in a southwesterly direction to where the original right-of-way line was, or something along those lines.
So I think my only comment would be then that, so this red strip will belong to the neighbors to the south, as it currently does. And the purple strip is a town-owned right-of-way that matches with this lot. So if this section's gonna be conveyed, it should be conveyed as a right-of-way not fee ownership, because otherwise you would have this lot 6 owning this part and then having this middle chunk of land in the middle that's owned by the town, and then another tiny strip of land that it would own and have, the town would have a right of way. So I think that would be quite messy, and so that blue polygon, it really should be as a right of way and not as fee assessment.
Well, that's
Fee ownership.
that's a very good observation. So the purple line there, I think we're not absolutely certain about that because this extends from lot corner to lot corner, and there's a good chance that that is accurate, that the old right-of-way line was a straight line from corner to corner, but we don't know that. It may have curved a little bit. But you are correct that the purple line, or a very close approximation of that, is owned by the subject property. So we are going to have, the Ford family is going to own the parcel, then there's going to be this curved parcel the town owns, and then there's going to be a strip of land technically still owned. So that's a little odd. But the town attorney thinks this is the best way to handle this. Even though there will be that purple strip, it really doesn't amount to anything. You know, technically
Why
they
would
own
we
it,
go
but-
for ownership as opposed to just getting a right of way and having that curve, that funny shaped blue polygon remain the property of the lot 6?
Wasn't that the original intention?
Yeah,
Back
the
in
original,
80s?
no, the original intention was actually to convey that in fee simple
To the town.
to the town.
Yeah.
And if that was to remain a right-of-way, given this history, I think that would just be a little more complicated. But by the town owning that portion in fee simple, outright, given the history, it's going to be cleaner. And the purple strip on the other side, which is technically owned by the lot owner, won't amount to anything. It's an ownership that doesn't mean anything, doesn't affect their value or their use. It's, for all intents and purposes, it's owned and maintained by the municipality.
Could the town request then ownership of that purple strip too? It seems a little messier, I mean.
Well, isn't that
for-
purple slip within the blue?
I think, I think the DCAT made this very complicated when they
Thing.
Because he describes it as the blue polygon, and if you look, because I'm looking online and you can see it much clearer, the blue shape encompasses that purple area. So you can see the blue goes in.
down.
Yeah, and that
Okay.
whole blue area is what would be conveyed as fee simple.
That
which
makes
will
much
make
more sense then.
the sale of the property a lot simpler because there won't be this weird document.
Right, because the boundary of the remainder lot under the Ford Trust will be the surveyed boundary. And then any interest they have in any land outside of that, which is, I think, southwest, any land they have interest in, then that is all being deeded to the town.
But not the, no, but I want to be clear, the purple, which is probably a good approximation, but we don't know precisely, is, assume that's the old right-of-way. Then that actually is not going to be conveyed, at least the town attorney
Yeah, it
did
is.
not want to do
Yes,
that.
it is. It's all part of the
According to
blue.
this, that's what it is.
No, it says
Michael.
purple area owned in fee.
But it's,
By
read the
subject, but that says subject to right-of-way, so it will be
Blue
treated as a
polygon.
right-of-way.
but Michael, the blue polygon, it's in the blue.
Where?
You can see it says blue polygon. You can
You're
see it
talking
better.
about here, right?
You can see it better online.
Yeah, oh no, that's going to be conveyed.
Yeah, but that blue line goes all the way this way.
It goes into the purple.
It includes the purple and the white.
What is this?
It's just
It does, it
hard.
goes on the other side of the purple
Yeah,
and then
it's
comes
just
down
harder
that
to
back
see.
side.
That's
red
just
is
the
in
old
there.
red line that, as you said, was the old road.
So the blue.
That's where the old
And
right-of-way.
there's a
Yeah.
green line that is the existing row lines. That doesn't matter, but the blue polygon if you look online, you can see it clearer. The blue polygon encompasses the purple.
Val, I think this may be, DCAT might just be not be labeled in a confused way, but The town attorney really thought that the better way to do it was to convey just this, the northeasterly parcel, and what we believe was the original right-of-way, just to leave it as a right-of-way. I mean, I don't know that it would be
Right.
terrible to do it a different way, but
The issue is that under the agreement in 1980s, all of that land was to be deeded to the town.
Yeah.
So that's
not
in the agreement.
not the right-of-way.
Well, the agreement was that the Fords were not retaining any of that land relative to where the new roadway was being laid out.
It makes sense that the neighbors' right-of-way would remain
Yeah,
the neighbors, but anything that was that lot 6 seems like it should all go to the town just to,
That would be how
it
the
will give you a
deed.
very complicated tax map otherwise.
And it's,
Or else this is technically a 3-lot subdivision, not a 2-lot subdivision.
Because we have that remaining piece that's.
Michael,
yeah.
are you looking at this map, this paper map? 'Cause
Yeah.
it is, you can see the blue.
Right.
I can
But
see
he's
the
saying
blue.
that this was made before,
Let me remember.
Well, this conservative
Whoever
turnout.
labeled this map that we have in front of us has included the purple within the blue, which is conveyed.
Oh, yeah, well, anyway, this map is definitely a little early, because we clarified with the town attorney afterwards. You'll notice it says blue polygon would be conveyed to town either in fee or as a right-of-way. And after this was prepared, the town attorney said it should be conveyed in fee, but not the portion in the right-of-way. But you know what, I will,
It doesn't make any sense.
But Michael,
Yeah.
can I interject?
Yeah.
She needs it,
The way the town attorney is going to draft the deed will be all of the land southwest of the surveyed line, in referencing a recorded plan, subject to any and all rights of ways or easements of record.
right.
So that would cover,
Right.
that they don't own the right-of-way, but anything that there is a right-of-way over the portion of fee that they own it's subject to, because the old driveway, even going down to the waterfront homes, at that point in time, they were built in the early 70s, that driveway would have extended across the current Durham Point Road to connect into the old road. So those two owners have,
They still have
have
easement.
right-of-way rights in their deeds.
Okay, yeah, well, that makes sense. So I'll just clarify that with the town attorney, and we should have a deed for you to see at the next meeting.
that would be helpful.
And I
Yeah,
think we can still move forward to the public
Yeah.
hearing. It's just good to have this clarified for.
We'll have a whole month to get that cleaned up.
Right.
All right,
Well, and it would have to be moved from draft no matter what, because it has to be,
it has to be.
It has to be-
yeah.
So he can clean that up.
done to be able to put it into the town
I can
records,
fully
right?
understand her concern about getting it to the 1985, because you have that documentation, that's going to hold up a sale. Because if you go through a sale and they find this is out there, it just, that in a title search, they gotta cross all their Ts and dot all their Is, or they don't move forward. And it will be very complicated, so it has to fit what's 1985.
Boy, that was a very sharp corner.
Cars all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So
I feel like when I've gone to Amherst,
all you gotta
like,
do is go
given that's an
fly
agricultural
over,
school, like, on the outskirts,
farming
we will
communities.
just like stop all of a
All
sudden.
right,
from the sky.
so we'll schedule a public hearing for November 13th.
Yeah. And it's
Right
accepted as complete with the
Do we need to
waivers?
vote on that, or we just?
Yeah.
All right. I'll move that we accept the application as complete.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. That one got messy.
We just need a clear map.
Yeah, well-
Because I'm seeing, I don't see the problem.
One of the reasons why we look at it before, like this, before we go to public hearing.
I think, yeah, and the next one,
Yeah.
it's,
Well, let's do the next one then.
Yeah, I think if we could have like a summary, because I think with the number of emails going back and forth, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So item 10, 4 Riverview Court, conditional use application, conditional use in the Shoreline Protection Overlay District for an existing single-family house for structures to be located within the 125-foot setback line, freestanding garage, expansive existing driveway, retaining wall, shed, buried electric line that currently runs overhead, Arthur McManus, property owner, Chris Guida, Fieldstone Land Consultants, he misspelled land there. Wetland and soil scientist, map 214, lot 11, Residence Coastal District. And as Erica was mentioning, there has been a bit of back and forth as this particular application has,
Yeah, a lot of
design has been in
emails.
flux since the application was first submitted. You are Mr. McManus?
I am.
All right. If you'd like to give us a
Sure.
brief rundown?
Purchased the property about 6 months ago. House built in '65. Land has not really been, and the house hasn't been really upkept since then. And one of the issues that we ran into is the existing garage foundation was compromised and the building itself was compromised. So we're looking to, and it was a 20 by 22 two-car garage, really undersized. So we're looking to create a garage, and we had two different options, and that's where some of the emails came in. One option was the original option, which was a detached garage. You'll see that in one of the visuals. We were going to put that on the east side of the property, within the setbacks, but close to the septic system. And when I talked to the surveyor, we thought they might be able to put a septic in there, and it still may be possible, but it was going to be tight. So we're going to put a new replacement system in for the septic. So the other option, which was to expand the existing garage to a larger size and add a little bit of living space as well. In both of these scenarios, we wanted to change the orientation of the driveway. The driveway right now comes in directly into the house. We get a lot of water coming down that driveway, and it becomes challenging. And the entrance of the house is actually, if you see the original plan, you have to go around the garage to the left to get into the front of the house, which is really not conducive. So what I'm asking for today is the plan to expand the existing garage. I'm not sure what visual you have, but I would point to this visual, which is in a blown-up version of, and it has the expanded garage, so there's probably another blown-up version with a detached garage, but this is the version that I'd like to speak to. So, I've got a D-size, a full-size drawing here if anyone wants to see it. 24 feet wide, and then 50 feet deep. 50 feet deep will be 26 feet of that will be a garage by 24 by 26. And the other 24 by 24, well, actually, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, 24 by 24 will be the living space. And the entry will be on that side as well. So along with this change to the physical structure, as you see, is the driveway configuration. So we would come through a pre-existing access path that is in the property, come down through Riverview Court, in front of the house, into the garage. The front entrance of the house, again, would be, in that corner, if you will. And then we have I'm not sure, some of this doesn't pertain to the zoning board, but then we have a turnaround, so when we come out of the garage, we're able to pull down, turn around, closer to the house, and then go back up into Riverview Court. So that's one aspect. You can answer any questions there. We have a retaining wall request, which is on the west side next to the covered porch. That is a very steep, it's the same level as the house. It's probably 8 feet deep and 4 feet tall, so it's an extremely steep incline as you approach the water. So we're looking to put a retaining wall in there and steps down to that area. And then lastly, we have the shed, which is further back from the road than the building, and as far away in the unwooded land as possible as well. So there's a lot there. Happy to answer any questions.
Garage, so what I'm understanding right now is that between like the main house and the garage, there will be like an extension of the house that's currently not there. So it's looking to replace the old garage. So on the garage slab to, like from the house over
Yep.
the garage slab. So this will be like an extension of the house?
Yeah, so right now, there was a 8-foot by 10-foot foyer. So the garage extended 30 feet out from the house, foyer and garage. So now it's 50 feet, so it's 20 feet further. But to your point, yes, there's living area from the house before you get to the garage. There is now, and there'll be an extended version of that, what I'm asking for.
Okay, and they'll all be like new, so that foyer is to be like replaced in a sense?
Exactly.
And you mentioned that there will be living space above the garage, so is the living space in that space in between the garage and the main house also going to have like a secondary floor, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, that was a mistake. That was, unfortunately, when I had this second application, some of the verbiage from the first application, which was a detached garage, came over. So this is going to be a single floor all the way through, similar to the rest of the house. It's
Okay.
a single floor. This will be, the 24 by 50 feet will be all single floor.
Thank you.
What do you plan on doing with the old driveway?
The old, which
The old driveway?
Yeah, right now, obviously it's going to be filled in a little bit because it's a slope, and we'll build up the garage wall to allow for more soil.
Is it a,
I'm open to taking it away and creating gravel. I think the Conservation Committee most likely would like to see that. I would like to have maybe additional parking up there, the dirt, I'm fine with that, but, yeah, I'm willing to do that. Right now, I would like to keep it, but happy to do that.
well, you referenced that you currently get a lot of rain coming down it.
Right.
That's not going to change unless you do something with it.
Well, the foundation of the garage is now rotated 90 degrees. The foundation of the garage will then prevent the water from coming into the house. But you're right, it's an incline, so it's, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a house recently where the rain runoff had been slowly eating away at the foundation. And so, redirecting some of that water with some plantings might be wise to direct it away from the foundation, because over time that would
Could be compromised.
could create some
Yep.
issues there. We're not anywhere near the impervious surface limit on this lot, are we, for what's allowed?
I don't believe so, but it would definitely, that is a secondary concern.
So I've got calculations for that, at least at this point. We are at, where is it?
I think you had it in your email, no.
Yeah. The coverage will be at 5% today. The proposed would be at 8.8 coverage.
And I believe the RC is 33%?
I think it's 20%.
20%?
Yeah.
Rural's 33%. The other thing, this is a note, it's not going to affect the application, I don't believe one way or the other, but your new retaining wall with the steps,
Right.
you're right there at 12-foot high water, above the high water mark. If you were planning for a 10-foot to 12-foot storm surge, you might not want those steps coming right up to your house. You might consider perhaps having your access below go around the retaining wall. I don't know how that works with your current doors on that porch or anything like that, but I'm pointing that out as something you might regret in the future.
Right. Okay. Good point.
Anything else? Is the application complete? We don't care about on this one.
Yeah.
Or do we?
No.
This one, we
No,
don't.
but I think a sidewalk would be helpful in this case. There's a fair amount going on.
Yeah.
There is, and I kind of agree with that. What do the rest of you?
I think,
A site walk?
yeah, I think a site walk might be worth it, just so we have a clear understanding about what's going on, that's all.
Yeah.
There might be some suggestions we can make.
My husband might show up at some point because he loves houses by the river. So he might just like pop up.
And if we were to do a site walk, do you have it sort of mapped out or marked out where that extension to the garage in terms of the space would be kind of
I
some
can,
pegs
yeah.
or something
Yeah.
to say this would be the
Yeah.
markings?
So I think what we generally do is we'll hold the site walk a couple hours before the next meeting,
Okay.
okay?
In December?
November.
November.
Oh,
November.
November.
Before the
The
snow
end
falls.
of November.
November 13th.
13th?
November 13th.
That's when the public hearing?
Yeah.
This would
Okay.
be November 13th.
Oh, that's right. That's right, because the next one here.
And we like to have it before it gets dark, so let me check what our
It's a
sunset.
tricky time of year.
Here.
It's gonna be
That is-
4:30, like, you want to do it at like 3 at the latest, I think.
3:30.
You know, in situations, this time of year, we often do them on the weekend to try to avoid that. To make it easier for everybody to get to, because at 3 o'clock in the middle of the workday type site walk is difficult for many of the planning board members.
Yeah, and it's gonna be getting dark
So
the Saturday before.
let's look at a calendar.
Are you available on a Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, we should check that.
What we do is, first we start looking at dates, then we
Okay,
make sure
okay.
that it works for everybody. So I'd be looking at November 9th.
Oh, I can't make it. I'm just kidding. I can make it.
I think that's,
I can make it. Yeah.
you can do that?
I can, yep.
Okay, if no, anybody have objections with November 9th?
Most people don't get that holiday off.
I will have,
And it will be a Saturday.
I will-
Yes, it's a Saturday.
It's
I
not a
will-
day off for anybody.
I will have problems on November 2nd. I'm working that day.
I think the closer to the public hearing would be better.
Yeah, so, all right, so November 9th, late morning, sound best for
Yeah.
people? Say, what do we want, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock?
10 o'clock. I don't
How is
consider
9 o'clock late in the
9
morning?
o'clock is not late morning.
I was gonna say like 11.
As I started
Yeah.
with 10 and it started rolling back, but okay. Okay,
10 or
10
11.
What time?
November 9th, 10 o'clock,
10 a.m. is okay.
10?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. And now we'll let you know what we'd like, plan on looking at.
Okay.
What we plan on looking at, what we'd like to, is we'd like to have staked out, the new building structure.
Yep.
Generally, what the new driveway outline would be.
Okay.
Do we want to see the retaining wall? I don't think that would be, I don't think that one's,
Staked? No. It
We don't
could
need
just
retaining
be
wall.
kind of
See
see,
where
it
it's
would be.
at.
we'll walk down through there and we'll see what you're doing. That would be fine.
Okay.
I think that's all, I can't think of anything else we need to have marked out.
No, the only thing just occurs to me, that date's fine, but this is going to the Conservation Commission the last Monday.
Oh.
They usually make their recommendation in one meeting, but if you were to hold your hearing, your site walk before,
Good point.
then the Conservation Commission members could join you if they wanted.
That makes
They're going to see this
The 28th?
Monday, the 28th. You know, if you were able to do it, you know, sometime prior week or so, that might be helpful.
You mean in October?
Yeah.
Next, isn't it, like next
Then
week?
if they're going to see it on October 28th, we should probably do it before.
I agree.
We can't.
All my Saturdays are booked in October right now. So, but you just do it without me. It will be the situation.
Or is a Sunday's not good?
If your Saturday, when you want to do it. When do people want to do
mean-
it? Pick a day.
I mean, what do people want to do?
I don't care, it doesn't matter.
I think including the Conservation Commission
I'll
is,
encourage them to come.
Maybe the 26th, which is a Saturday, if you would.
does October 26th work with you?
Yeah, any Saturday can work, I can make that
Okay,
happen.
so October 26th, 10 a.m.
26th.
Is there anything else we need to do?
No, so, Mr. McManus, are you preferring the attached garage, or are you still, is it still open?
I think that's the most feasible. I'd love to do the other, but I think
Oh.
the septic system is going to just impede on that.
I know the other thing we're going to want to look at. The SPOD line,
Yes.
that's the other thing that we're going to want to see.
And they did, so the surveyor did correct, it shows the observable high tide line, and then the 125-foot line is shown on there.
And those might already be
red.
marked on your property, I imagine.
Oh,
Physically on the property?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they are. I don't think they
Okay.
are. I'll put it this way, there's a bunch of flags, I didn't even think about whether they marked the high water mark. Well, we could do it, I guess.
I mean, it's sort of, I can tell on the map that it includes sort of the top line of your driveway, and pretty much all the work's being done inside the SPOD line.
Right.
But,
I'll see if the survey.
so, I mean, from that point of view, it's almost, I don't know whether it's even worth putting up the line, since we've sort of recognized that
The whole house.
the whole property is effectively inside the SPOD.
Yeah, it's all in there.
I think having you have the surveyor flag is just, might just be a money cost that doesn't really buy us anything.
And they haven't been the most responsive, unfortunately. It took me 12 weeks to get this map in the first place.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So Michael, from a conservation committee, what should I be thinking about for them? Looks like you mapped out structure, staked, outline of the driveway. What else beyond that?
I think this is everything.
Okay.
I have a few questions for you, but I'll send you a note.
Okay.
We can prepare for the site walk and the Conservation Commission meeting.
Great.
And Michael, just for other folks, what's the Conservation Commission going to be looking at? And is it because they're in the shoreline protection?
Yes. So the,
Yeah.
exactly.
So they'll make a recommendation to you if they believe it meets the 4 criteria. They don't comment on the 8 general criteria, but just the 4 environmental.
If they have concerns or recommendations to us regarding the work occurring within the Shoreline Protection Overlay District, that's something for us to look at.
And I sent you an email this afternoon about the expansion of the garage, which looks like that may be allowed by right administratively. Audrey pointed out a provision in the non-conforming section, but I'll clarify that with Audrey and let you know. So the garage may not be part of this review, strange as that is.
So what would be? It would be just the
It would-
driveway?
Yeah, so there's, so Mr. McManus, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is the change in the driveway, expansion of portion of the driveway, the freestanding accessory dwelling unit, burying the underground electric, the new shed,
So, not to correct you,
several
Michael,
retaining walls.
It's not the freestanding. This is the expansion of the existing garage.
Oh, but the ADU will be?
No,
No
that's,
ADU.
that's going
No,
away as well.
I'm sorry for the
It's all-
confusion, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No ADU?
No
Yeah,
ADU,
that's what I was
no
asking.
separate detached garage. Literally, it's the extension of the
Oh, I
existing
see.
garage.
Because on the drawing that we have, or that I'm looking at, there's a 24 by 24 ADU.
Right.
That won't be there. It's really going to be incorporated above the garage.
No, I'm sorry, even that.
No,
that's
it's not
question
gonna be
earlier.
there at
So
all.
this map here, it's the map that shows just the extension of the garage, no second floor, just garage, and then is a foyer, that's 20 feet. So 24 feet wide, 50 feet long, single story, garage, and house. So that's why that's been pushed off. So I think the provision you're referring to, Michael, is I think it's 30% living area, 15% coverage area, and I built a house in Harpswell, Maine, on the water, and dealt with all this and cubic feet and square feet. Fortunately, we're below both of those based on this expansion. The garage was already there. We're not, adding something completely separate. So, but yes, whatever those requirements are, let me know, and I'll do
Yeah,
them
so
out.
it sounds, I think that the garage is just straightforward in the ordinance, but it'll be everything else. Shed, driveway, burying the electric. Are there one or two retaining walls that you're putting in?
There's two. One is what you see in the patio. The other is actually on the north side of the driveway, which I think falls outside of the 125-foot setback. It's literally on that line.
Wow.
Because that's that decline that we were talking about going into the garage is the same thing coming into the driveway. So we're going to have to retain that a little bit. I don't think it'll be as dramatic as what we're doing by the patio because it's 4 feet and 2 foot. This is going to have more of an incline. But you see that basically at the same point of the red line, you'll see that second retaining wall there.
Are you going to be able to put the new septic outside of the 125-foot boundary from the Oyster River?
So he hasn't come up with the design yet. He was actually
Okay.
waiting for me to have this conversation. And I'm going to now tell him, hey, listen, we're not going to do the ADU and the separate, so let's design it with a replacement system. He'll work with the state. I don't know. My gut instinct is, the answer is no. It's going to be pretty close to where it is right now, maybe a little bit further north. Without that garage, he's going to have a lot more flexibility. Where that garage was there, he's going to be pinched in. So, which is a good thing, I think, for the state. But
Oh, and also, if you saw in the pictures, that most of the site around the house, it's pretty, there's not really any vegetation there. And it's been that way since you bought it. You'll notice it's just pretty bare ground.
a big stump, a pine tree that hit my generator, but beyond that, yeah, it's all clay. And yeah, so it should be pretty straightforward. And the Conservation Committee will see that, so.
I guess I would just, for Audrey, did Audrey look at the septic system and what, it might be nice to have her recommendation on that?
She will, once they,
They have a plan.
yeah, they can do a replacement system with just review of the code administrator, but it's got to be as far away from the reference line as possible.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, she may have an opinion on that before going forward with finalized drawings and so forth about the location of everything
Yeah, I spoke to her a
else.
couple times,
Okay.
and she deferred to the state. She basically said, if it's a replacement, the state, she wants to be part of it, she wants to have a copy of the design, but I think because it's the shoreline, the state is the one that sort of manages that. And again, we'll have a more favorable location without that detached garage, so.
And then I just had a question on that as well. So with that, the state's going to be essentially approving that septic design, I think. And then do we have any say? I would think it might be difficult to have multiple parties approving that. If the state approves it, I can't imagine that we would come back and say that that's not adequate, but.
Right. From Audrey, she deferred to the state, but you bring up a point that I'm working through, which is, and Michael will attest to this, this board is one approval, but I go through the same thing for the state. The state, because I am for sure is something that they need to review. But for the septic, from what Audrey said, is, the state really has jurisdiction. And especially if it's a replacement. If you're increasing it, then you start having other hoops and hurdles. That's why the ADU would have added that, and no need to go down that path.
So for a leach field, as well as a septic tank, the setback in our ordinance is 125 feet. But for a replacement system, it has to meet the 125 feet unless the code administrator determines it's not physically possible, in which case it has to be set back as far from the reference line as possible. But the state also has pretty strict standards. I think she's largely deferring to them.
I would just So I think it would be really helpful to have, and maybe it is here, but with the confusion of the papers, to just make sure that you list as well, you know, what is the impervious surface area and have that number there, the calculation.
Yep.
What is the cumulative increase in footprint? What is the cumulative increase in habitable area? That would just be helpful to have, maybe, you know, on the plans or highlighted somewhere in a table.
Okay, yep. Yeah, I would imagine the next time we meet after the visit,
Yeah,
the application is going to be more streamlined.
That will be helpful for the Conservation Commission as well.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
All right.
What is the purpose of burying the electric lines? Just out of curiosity.
Well, the power was knocked off 2 or 3 times the last couple of years. That big pine I talked about took down the power line, and the power post that comes out of the roof has been bent several times. So it's a cost on my side. Aesthetics is really, and just keeping the trees away from pulling down my power line. That's it.
Well, that, and we also, keep in mind that any new subdivisions, we require that now anyway. So he's sort of coming in line with our requirements by doing that. But it does help on the fact that you don't lose power as often if you bury them.
Right.
And a lot of people with waterfront property, they just, if they're paying for that view, they don't want to see that.
On the viewscape, living in a state like California, you don't have it. When we came back to New England, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, the wires are
Did not
everywhere.
everybody notice how ugly this is?
No doubt.
Well, and on
I
our
got
main
used to
street,
it.
we don't get to bury them.
Anything else for the applicant?
Well, not Madbury. Well, that
All right,
weekend.
then we will see you on October 26th.
How long can I expect that visit to be, roughly?
Half hour.
An hour, anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes.
Okay. Perfect.
I mean, it might go an hour 15.
Yep, okay. Great, thank you guys very much, appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Item 11, public hearing for miscellaneous zoning amendments, a set of zoning amendments regarding freestanding small group net metering uses in the 5 core commercial districts, childcare as an accessory use to all residential uses, requirements for accessory buildings to single-family houses, zoning enforcement, clarifying text consistent with state law terminology and formatting of the ordinance. So, did, before I open the public hearing, shall we talk about the Audrey thing briefly? Audrey's comments,
And everyone has a copy there in front of them.
where?
Oh, I passed a copy out about Audrey.
Was
Klein's
that from
comments.
Audrey?
I
This
somehow
one from Beth.
misplaced it then.
Oh, yeah, it's there.
Email format?
She also, yeah, it was on an email.
Yeah, it says Tracy Cutler at the top. Here is Audrey's note.
There, okay. Yep, got it. Okay. The, what do we call them, accessory buildings? For a variety of reasons, which definitely have some worthwhile stuff that we didn't consider at the last meeting, so. So that will definitely be something we want to look at prior to taking final action later. I wanted to make sure that got brought to everyone's attention before we opened the public hearing. All right. I'll move that we open a public hearing for miscellaneous zoning amendments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Is anyone here to speak on the miscellaneous zoning amendments?
I'm not sure if this is the right document. Susan Richmond, 16 Cal Drive in Durham. I'm speaking from a document from Beth Olshansky, who couldn't be here today. It appears we're still allowing for...
It's definitions.
And we're
Well,
not
about
doing,
the construction of a large flat parking lot.
that has to do with something we're not talking about tonight. That's
Okay,
at
and
our
I-
next meeting.
I'm going to talk about
I thought
the
it
next
was
item on
because
the
of-
agenda.
Okay.
Oh, I
I think I
apologize.
misinterpreted that then too, because I
Yeah.
thought it was, because again, we're touching on the table.
Well, she,
No, she raised that, that the definitions,
She specifically wrote that
Thing has
email
some-
to the definitions with regards to how we're,
Oh, doing the
I
zoning.
can't think of anything in the
Oh.
miscellaneous zoning amendments that
yeah,
allows
it's
flat
in
parking
regard to
lots.
definitions, because it's in the definitions
Okay.
write-up that there's some changes to the table.
Which,
And those
yeah.
are driven by the
Right.
definitions, but I think Beth observed in the table that we're showing, still showing parking lot allowed in the Churchill zone. And she wanted
Correct,
to
which
point
was
that out.
also, as you know, I think I brought this up before, but it was also confusion at the town council level, so I think we,
that's not tonight.
yeah.
Is there anyone in Zoom who'd like to speak to the miscellaneous zoning amendments?
Well, I mean, I guess someone could make the argument that if we're touching the table of uses, they'd like to see that changed. I don't know, but it's,
Mr. Marowitz?
Joshua Meyerowitz, 7 Chesley Drive. So this may seem very minor on your, on our pretty minor changes, but, and you probably discussed this, so I didn't catch it, but in your reference to how to list numbers of years or anything, I personally always prefer the redundancy of both the word and the number. I just think also if people print out something or copy something or refer to it, there's always more error potential if you only have one, you know, if you don't have in parentheses 3 when you're, I mean, that's just my view. You probably discussed this to death already, and I have no idea what you said about it. But I just think I just prefer that kind of redundancy after years of people typing up, quoting, whatever, and where transcription errors occur. You just remove a lot of potential transfer errors by having the redundancy of the word and the numbers, my view. So that's just my take. And then I just would put in one plug for what you said you're not discussing tonight. But, you know, whenever we talk about application, this is just a generic comment about, whenever we've always talked, when we had a lot of contentious applications, people would always say, how come the planning board is not planning? And you would say, often Paul, saying, well, we can't do that now. We do that when we do zoning consideration. We have to go by what we have in the ordinance and the site plan regulations and so forth. So I would just endorse Beth Olshansky's generic comment that, you know, plan for the things where you are not dealing with a specific application and are writing up generic rules for things. Plan for what we want and not for what we don't want, so that when we come to the actual applications, we don't have to have sometimes years of torment and feel trapped by the way we wrote up something in a way that generates applications that we don't want, and then hearing those issues prior to a public hearing where the concerns that Beth Olshansky raised can be aired. Just maybe think about some of that ahead of time and give us more of what we want rather than what we don't want, and which I think you have done in the workforce housing evolution, and I'll comment on that in a minute. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Are there any more hands in Zoom? Any hands in Zoom?
There are not.
There are not. Everyone here has spoken or attempted to speak. So I think we can close the public hearing. We'll start.
I do have a question, kind of a point of order maybe before we close it, which is,
Certainly.
I noticed in the the document from September 25th to today, a section disappeared, on the lighting. Was that intentionally left out or unintentionally?
Intentional.
It was
It was
intentional.
intentional.
Left out, okay, just
We
clarifying.
thought it wasn't a clear cut, it had grounds for potentially stopping the amendment as a whole. It required more in-depth review before moving forward on it. And we wanted to get these through quick because of the fact that we're currently out of step now with state law. And we wanted to
Okay.
try to correct the state law issues as much as possible.
Okay.
In my opinion, it was just very subjective, so I think we'll.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so let's take them in order. What do we think of the 200, 300 issue that Audrey brought up?